Okay. Right, do I have a motion to adjourn executive session?
Motion.
Motion to adjourn the work session meeting?
Motion. Adjourn the work session.
Do you guys wanna get right started on the other one? Okay. All right, public hearings. The first public hearing is local law authorizing the Board of Trustees to exceed the state tax levy limit for 2019-2020. Would anyone like to speak to that local law? No?
You said now that.
Your name, your address.
Cindy Davis, Birchwood Avenue. You're saying now you think we will actually have to exceed it?
We vote every single year to exceed the
Right.
tax limit. We've been lucky in the past years, we haven't had to pierce it, but this year we know because of the dock bond, we will be piercing it.
And we don't get to vote on this resolution, right?
No.
But we could have had a vote that you had not denied the vote on the dock, which is causing this.
Correct.
Okay. So we couldn't vote on that, but so now we're stuck with rising tax because you wouldn't let the residents vote on it. Okay?
Well, we might have been stuck with the tax anyway if the resident had voted for it.
But if they had voted it down, once they knew the full price, we may not have to go through this.
Yeah. Any other comments?
Susan Laskowski. So then we could expect that for the next 5 years, that this will be, every single year we'll be having to pierce that tax, whatever it is.
You know what, I can't make that determination because it depends on how much money we bring in, what we spend, what we have in the savings account, so right now, no, I can't tell you that, I can only tell you for this year.
Terry Strecker on 1 Adams Street. What is the tax cap?
Tax cap is 2%, which is like 30 cents per hundred, John. Yeah, so 30 cents.
30.8 cents per hundred.
So if we raise it anything over 30 cents, then we have to pierce it.
What was, I'm sorry, I didn't hear 34 cents or
30.8.
30.8 per $100.
Yeah.
Is that the tax cap that refers to whether we get the rebate from the state? If we tax, or is that just for school districts, the 2%?
No, I don't
There
know.
is a rebate
There is that, it's so.
for some, for qualified people.
Oh, does that affect that? Who does it?
If it appears, yes, it does.
Yes,
well,
it does.
affect
So we would lose that
Village
check we
portion.
would get from
The
New York
village
State?
portion, right? But not the town.
Not the town portion, but the village portion.
Not the town or the county portion, just the village portion.
So we would lose that check that we would get usually in the fall.
No,
We won't lose the check?
no, you will not lose the check. It'll be a little bit lower, but you will not lose it.
So, but we're gonna lose out on it, okay.
Couple bucks.
Anyone else? Okay. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing for exceeding the state tax levy limit for 2019-2020?
Motion. Second.
All in favor? The second public hearing is, let me just find it. Okay, is local law amending chapter 15, Code of Ethics of the Poquott Village Code. The purpose of this law is to establish a proper and working code of ethics for the village of Poquott that is consistent with the requirements of the New York State law and the recommendations of the Office of Controller of New York State. Would anybody like to speak to that? Okay. Is there a motion to close the public hearing on local law amending chapter 15?
Second.
Okay. The third local law is amending chapter 123 zoning of Poquott.
183.
183 zoning of Village of Poquott. The purpose of this is to establish a proper and work up. Wrong. Oh, this is what we just, this was all of our local law before, we just combined it, right? Okay, so
No,
the.
separated.
Separated.
So the purpose is just to put zoning into its own section, right? That's, okay. Would anybody like to?
Joe, didn't we make some changes? It wasn't just that?
There's some minor changes.
There was some minor changes, so minor or not, we did change and separate.
separate out the
We
section.
we separated out stormwater and building and construction,
Okay,
and we made change, we also made some revisions.
Small things in there.
okay, would anyone like to talk to that? Okay. Do I have a motion to close local law amending chapter 183 zoning of Village of Poquott?
Motion. Second.
Okay. I call the meeting to order, the business meeting at 7:25, pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't have any announcements, if anyone else does. Public safety.
Quiet, last 30 days, 4 incident reports, 2 suspicious incidences, people, 1 medical, 1 parking complaint, 2 house checks. We've had 3 parking violations this month. And as you know, for the board, we've completed the pothole survey for you. And all court employees have completed the mandated New York State training for sexual harassment.
So the pothole list, I think we should leave open because we'll see what difference in the next month. Okay.
To that point, when I'm walking around with the dog, I'm noticing that the potholes are, to me, less of an issue than there are these cracks all over the place. And you can see slabs of surface blacktop ready to be lifted off in a good flood and rain. And it's often on the hills. So I just think that I remember in years where they would come by with hot tar and
Fix
follow
that
the
ground.
line.
Mhm.
There's so many of them, I don't know what that would cost, but I just think that the pothole, because last year I know they didn't do it, and I think the potholes alone are half the story, actually less than half the story, we have to do that.
Mhm, okay. Well, maybe we can have, they give us a price to do some of the crafts.
Some of the parts of the road are already starting. I go down every day, the end of Chestnut, across on the other side from where we did the drain work. That's all broken up. And that may have to be just taken away and resurfaced. But you know, throughout the village, there are big areas where there was these cracks, so it's that we need to really survey.
Ron?
Yes, for those of you who were here at the last month's meeting, there was a question that arose with regard to the bond payments. And I was a little bit startled because I looked at the budget and there was no budget in this year. That was an error in the paperwork that was passed out, and it surprised me, so I was kind of stuck on it. But in any case, $30,000 was in the budget this year. It's not being used, obviously. Next year, it'll be $50,000 for repayment of principal, which is what the individual who was bringing up the question was referring to. So that, I just want to clarify that. Aside from that, with regard to this year, in prep for doing the budget, I've made some projections as to how we will come through the end of the year. And at this point, it looks like it will be about a break even without that mortgage debt or anything, and without touching the fund balance, which we were talking about using $36,000 of the fund balance. It appears that we will not have to touch that. If we do, it'll be a small amount, it appears. And those are just, again, it's just a projection, so if anything unusual occurs, that may be different, but I don't want to be held to that, but that's a projection through year end.
Okay, public comments?
Let's see, who's got speed? Several. The berms that were done just really at the end of, I guess, fall on Maple and New have been squashed a couple of places probably by the plow, so those are destroyed. And then I wanted to know an update on the whole, I think there's some general plan to deal with the water issue on Maple and New.
There's no update at this time. The village engineer has to meet out, Mike, the building inspector, and Rich, and they haven't been able to do that yet. So when we have an update, it'll be at the meeting, but we don't have one right now. It was just status quo as it was when we, last time.
And while you were in session, I raised the fact that, I've raised it several times, that there's no lighting going up to this building from the tennis courts. And not only that, there's still snow on that path, so that it would seem to avoid possible injury and liability to the village, that some lighting get put along that path. I wouldn't think it would be too expensive if you can go the cheap way with the Home Depot stuff, or you can go better. But it's, sometimes it was suggested to me that there are alternative places to park, which is here. But when this meeting gets very full, there's not enough places to park, or it's a little congested. So I would wish the board would take that seriously as a need for the village.
Anything else?
Yeah, and this was just, this is just a random idea I thought I would just put forward, just to think about. You don't have to respond right away, but recently I was taking a walk on the beach, and I ran into a woman who had parked somewhere, and she used to live here. She grew up here as a child, and she was just recounting what a lovely place it was to live here, and she just waxed eloquent about her childhood and all that. And I began to think it might be a very nice thing and kind of a healing thing for the village if there were some kind of a video project, kind of an oral history project that people could participate in, that could be put, I don't know if it would be appropriate on the village website or someplace else, but to recount, if people have an opportunity to talk about their positive experiences living here. It's
Is
just
that something that you would like to spearhead?
Pardon me?
Is that something you'd like to do?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I think we'd have to talk more about, first of all, is it an appropriate thing? How could it be? I'm sure that would need to be under, you don't want people just to lather forth about their issues with the village, but more as a, kind of as sharing their memories.
Yeah, I think it's
Unfortunately,
something that would be nice to see residents waxing
That's what I was asking,
poetically
would,
about
they could,
the
maybe,
about the village.
we could come up with a plan where they could contact you with their stories, or that you could interview them, or whatever it would be, and you could put it together, and that could be something we share with all the residents.
yeah, I think there's been people, unfortunately, that have passed who have lots of history going back a long time, and, and we've all been told stories, but it's kind of nice to have that captured on video, or even, on stories or something. So, yeah, it's something I would like to put out, and it's a possibility, yeah. And when I get less busy with what I'm currently doing, yeah.
It's a great idea.
So if I may, I thought he'd be here tonight, but I was talking to Zach, who was your neighbor at the corner of New and
Yes.
And he's been giving it a lot of thought because he's dealing with the flooding that results from that area. And he has a plan that I said, sounds like a great idea if it could be done, and there's some legal issues involved because of property. But I said, come to the meeting, and he said, yeah, I think I can make it, but he obviously didn't. And that was to direct some of the water, you know where Zach lives, right?
Yeah.
So between Zach and his next neighbor over, and direct the water down that way. And we were always talking about how we could go down New Street and tie it in. And apparently that was, didn't our engineer say that there was a problem with that?
Yeah, there's a, well, Rich looked at it, says underground pond underneath
Yeah.
that.
So he said, well, it seems,
Did you know that?
and Joe, I would just ask you to maybe weigh in or think about it, whatever. If we as a village were able to have a drain running along a property line that would cut from, it would be Maple to New, to behind the, Zach's house, going down and tying in directly into Chestnut somehow. And there's a rise there, so that would have to go deep, but maybe there's a way for them to miss something to it.
They'd have to
Should-
look at that, but the problem is that there is a pond underneath that road.
Well, and I said that to him, he said, well, that's why this idea, apparently he kind of knew about that.
Oh,
To
maybe
by-
we should.
To bypass that problem by just going downhill into Chestnut and having it drain down into our drainage system for Chestnut. I said, well,
Well,
I don't know,
think
but
we
we should raise the issue, maybe raise it with our engineers. I don't know whether or not there's some property issues. If we as a village said we would like to have this pipe on the border of two properties to go through that, can we do that? Is there
Yes,
any?
well, you need a drainage easement, but it's fairly
We
easy.
can do that.
It's an easy thing.
So,
I'm not
if
sure
it's,
that's the answer yet.
Okay, I won't do it.
if it's a possibility, at least to put it out there, is one more thing, because,
If I may,
yeah,
there was a study done by our engineers probably about 20 years ago
yeah,
that actually went through that entire process,
yeah.
digging a trench underneath 3 properties coming out onto Chestnut, well, under Chestnut. We had a problem with that at the time because nobody wanted to give us the easements.
Well, that's what I was
But
thinking.
there
If
is-
somebody
there is-
said,
there is
no
a
way,
plan
all
out
it takes is one
there.
person.
That the engineers did, and we'd have to go back again.
Can we?
Voorhees and get it,
Is
see if
there
we do.
some-
I don't know if they did it
and
or
then-
Brown did it.
and
Steve Bell.
If it gets to that point, there is a right of eminent domain, yes,
We
but
could do it.
generally, you ask,
Well, of course, we would try to get
Well,
everybody,
let's try.
everybody
Let's see if
benefits.
that's even the plan yet.
Everybody would benefit, but if somebody says, no, I don't want, can't do it.
yeah,
But because there doesn't seem, I'm sure I'm expressing part of your frustration. This has been going on a long time. It doesn't seem to be an answer to this flooding because it's like a hole there. The water has nowhere to go. And the one natural route, the water table practically is a pond there, or level, so it's right under the street. So they say that that's not feasible.
All right, well, we're gonna keep looking into it. Any other comments?
You were talking before at the work session about signs and stuff, and I know you have to change the times, but it would have been helpful if we put the public hearing sign up at the entrances today. You had a public hearing and no signs about it. That would have been, people should know.
You're right, we should have, well, I sent out emails to everyone that did put on Facebook.
That was helpful, yes, thank you. But you've got those signs and they can go right up there too. If you don't get to see your email till you get home, then you would know about it.
And and also, maybe people don't realize, but it's also on the website.
Mhm.
So, but you're right, we should have it, so next time we'll do better to get it up.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I just wanted to ask a question.
Andy?
I have the old Bayview Park map. It showed, Jefferson Street technically goes up to Birchwood. Oak Street, could we possibly own Oak Street?
Yes.
You mean that driveway is public property?
It is, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mhm.
I believe it is, right. What you're asking about has been looked into before, and I believe we own it.
So that's,
They had permission to physically use that as a right of way for their house. They have an agreement with the original owner that built that house.
I just seen that on the, the Bayview Park. I was always wondering about that. So could anybody go up the driveway? Not that they would want it.
They could, they just can't park on it, because it's
Oh,
a street, right?
Yeah,
So-
they could go up and come drive the car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just wondered about that. Okay.
Any other comments?
Just another thing I've been wondering about with the change in the recycling, and you have to now take your glass and take it to, I guess now the nearest place is in Stony Brook by the parking lot by the Three Village area Inn or to the senior center. I will do that, but not to say that I think my standards are higher than others, but I think that a lot of people that stuff's just gonna go in the garbage. So I'm wondering if the village might think about possibly having, some place that we could bring our glass, so that it could then be towed to those receptacles. Just to ensure maybe that we could be, a little proactive in being environmentally sound. And maybe some kind of a receptacle that would be clean, that stuff could go in, and then volunteers to put stuff if they have trucks or something, to then take it to Stony Brook or to the senior center. Just something to think about.
Okay. Any other comments?
Comments? Any comments about that?
It seems like it's a wonderful idea, but to get people to actually do it, it
Well,
doesn't happen, and
yeah,
then we get
well,
stuck
okay,
having
I
to
mean,
do
just
it.
before, before you cut off just an idea like that, but would the board consider at least having a facility for storage here till,
Can I respond?
yeah,
I know I go through the same thing you're going through with everybody and there's a lot being talked about in the media about this very thing. People finally got used to recycling, and everybody feels wrong about it now because you can't recycle the things that we had been recycling. It's an international issue. It has to do with China no longer taking this stuff, and I mean it's a big issue. We were kind of surprised, all of us, because our Carter announced it all of a sudden, and then I realized it was regional, and then it's like everywhere. The glass is not being recycled. So Stony Brook collects it. I bring my stuff there, the glass.
Yeah.
But there's no market for the recycling. There's one place that chops it up and mixes it in with gravel that they use for roads or something like that, but it's not a big industry. So it's more than just doing the right thing. It's got to do, not surprisingly, with economics, dollar, business. Is there a payback to it? Right now, if we were to put a box over there, number one, we would have to pay for it. You'd have to get that from someplace. And then it would collect this glass, and then we would have to pay for somebody to take it, and it's eventually gonna wind up in a landfill. That's where all this stuff is going. I think it's outrageous, but I don't see any answer to it because there's no end place for this recycling anymore.
so that stuff all ends, all the stuff that's collected at
As-
the
as
senior
far as I
center,
know,
that
that's-
goes into a
Yes,
landfill.
that's what I was told.
So then
And I-
there's no difference then why
Yeah.
separate it out, why not just put it in with your
Yeah.
regular garbage?
And all
is
the,
what
except
I'm
for
saying.
the 1 and 2 plastic, all the other things that we used to recycle, you can collect it, you can do something with it, but it's just garbage now. And it's permanent garbage. So we're all kind of upset about this, but somehow there used to be a way to recycle. It's more difficult and more expensive, but they could use that stuff, so they did have us putting all of our plastic in there. And now they don't. So there's really no difference, but, I mean, we could do it, but it would cost us and it would not result in anything. So that's the answer.
Tina Chiaffi, do I have to give you my address? Oh, okay, 47 Chestnut. The other thing is, I think it's a great idea if it did have someplace to go, but if I have to get in my car and drive it here, I'm just gonna get in my car and drive it to Stony Brook. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think the problem is that you can't put it out in front of your house.
Yeah, well,
That's-
I don't know, I just think maybe it would be a little easier, it would be, you'd save something. I mean, you don't know until you try.
Any
I
other
agree.
comments? Okay. Resolution 03-2019-1, resolution adopting March 14th, 2019 agenda as printed, so moved.
Okay.
All in favor? Motion carries.
Resolution number 03-2019-2, resolution accepting the monthly reports from March 14th, 2019, so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Resolution 03-2019-3, resolution adopting the minutes from the January 10th, 2019 work session of the Board of Trustees. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Was it me?
Yeah.
Sorry. Resolution number 3-2019-4, resolution adopting the minutes from the January 10, 2019 business session of the Board of Trustees, so moved.
But did you skip them?
You did number 4. You're on 5, this is yours. This is,
It's 03, okay, I'm sorry.
yeah, but did you say second?
Yeah, I did say so.
Okay, all in favor?
Okay, now, so I was doing 6.
You're doing 5.
Five.
Did 4.
That's what I totally skipped.
Yeah.
Okay, resolution adopting the minutes from the February 12th, 2019 work session of the Board of Trustees. So move.
Second.
All in favor? Resolution 03-2019-6, resolution adopting the minutes of February 12th, 2009 business session of the Board of Trustees. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Resolution number 3, 2019-7, resolution to schedule the Village of Poquott Board of Trustees work session meetings beginning at 6 on April.
So we can
What do we
either,
do then?
yeah, we have to look and see. The second week is the 11th. I just wanna make sure that you can make it.
Yeah,
Easter's at the end of the month.
So, yeah, April 11th is fine.
That's fine for me, you, Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll make it April 11th. We'll do the same thing for the, budget too.
April 11th, 2019, with the business meeting to immediately follow. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Resolution 03-2019-8, resolution for the Board of Trustees to adopt a local law.
I'm not sure, I don't know what we're up to.
Okay, blank. Of 2019, authorizing the Board of Trustees to exceed the 2% taxing increase limit. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Resolution 03-2019-9, resolution authorizing village bookkeeper Hoffman to perform attached budget amendments. So I don't, did you guys, oh, you had a copy, okay. So this is just to balance out some of the accounts that are over and some that are under, okay. So moved,
Second.
all in favor? Motion carries. Number two.
Sorry. Resolution number 3, 2019-10, resolution setting the village election for Tuesday, June 18th, 2019, for the position of 2 trustees, with voting to be at the village hall from 12 p.m. until 9 p.m. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Ron, the next one, do you think that you'll have a preliminary budget to give the board on April 11th, or do you think that's too soon? You think that's fine? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Resolution 03-2019-11, resolution directing Clerk Newfield to schedule and notice accordingly public hearing for April 11th, 2019 for the Village of Poquott's 2019-2020 budget. So move.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Joe, you wanna do the checks?
Yep. Cover sheet. 31 vouchers for a total of $114,681.84, consisting of the following. Four unpaid bills to be approved as of March 14, 2019. Ace Hardware, oil for chainsaw, $5.99. Brant Marine, $81,776. First installment less retainage. Quickway Sanitation Corp. March bill, $7,061.12. Times Beacon Record, local law 15 notice, that's all the local laws notices, $69.71. Total, $88,912.82. Bill to be paid. One bill, UPS credit card, postage, $110, total $110. 8 bills to be paid. Axe Creatives, backup for this computer system, $59.99. Big Gang Cleaning Service for February, $300. Optimum bill for February, or March, I should say March 1st, $94.90. Joseph Broke Up PLC, legal work 2011 through, 211 through 35, $1,968.75. PSE&G street lighting, $434.09. PSE&G pole rental, $12.43. Wellsback Electric, various pole light repairs, $833.40. Wex Bank, public safety gasoline card, $173.40. 8 bills, $3,876.96 total. 5 bills to be approved. David Olson, chainsaw reimbursement of $232 for chainsaws replacements. Replaced all the belts, the chainsaws themselves. Quickway Sanitation for snow removal, $5,362.50.
That's up to the 20, that's the last.
That says up to 20, yes, that's not
So it
including
doesn't include
March.
March.
We haven't got March yet,
And how much do we expect in March, do we know?
God knows.
No.
Small business
So far,
management,
nothing.
Around 10.
February bookkeeping services, $525. Staples bill, office supplies, $323.15, that also includes on the shredder. Triad Telecom bill, telephones, $123.13. 5 bills remain paid, $6,565.78. 7 bills to be approved. Campolo, Middleton, and McCormick LLP. Richardson Matter, $244. Cannon Financial Services, a copier, $149. Gordon Jacoby, 212 Meeting, videography, $150. Nelson Pope and Voorhees, meeting to discuss grant possibilities, that was Walmart, $662.50. Quickway Sanitation Corp. Sand, $372.50, no, excuse me, 50, that's a dumpster. Town of Brookhaven Highway Department, salt, sand, $819.31. Verizon Wireless bill, $61.75, total 7 bills, $2,459.06. Last one. 8 bills to be approved. Poquott, Delafield and Wood, duck bond preparation, $3,938.90.
What was that?
$3,900
What was it for?
duck bond preparation.
Oh, that fine, okay.
Nelson Pope and Voorhees, Community Dock, $775. Quickway Sanitation, February bill, $7,061.12. Swayze Fuel Oil, $599.66. Times Beacon Record, election notice in the paper, $88.93. Rex Bank again, gasoline for public safety, $293.61. Total, 6 bills, $12,757.22.
So what was the engineering bill for?
That was for the, me and Bill, I don't know if you were there, Chris, we met at Walnut Beach to see if we could get, grant money for sand and stuff.
For what?
Sand and like our plan of what we thought we could possibly do out there. So,
Speaking of which, I noticed that there's sand. Did we get sand and did David dump it? You know the place that you go down to the beach?
Mhm.
To the left of the main door?
Yeah,
It's all nice and sandy and the rocks.
well, he did the steps, David did the steps for
Well,
that.
that's his job.
Yeah.
It's not steps, it's just kind of.
Oh, yeah, I think-
All right, it's just really sand.
Resolution 03-2019-12, resolution approving all checks for the voucher